Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India Live, India's voice to the world. I'm Lipakshi Khurana, coming up in the next 30 minutes. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi launches multiple connectivity projects worth 15,400 crore rupees, including India's first underwater metro rail service in Kolkata to visit Bihar later today. India's External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar in South Korea co-chairs the 10th India-South Korea Joint Commission meeting with his counterpart, Cho Tae-yul. Voters in 15 U.S. states and one territory cast their ballots on Super Tuesday. U.S. President Joe Biden and Donald Trump get early wins, inching closer to a November rematch. And U.S. says Gaza ceasefire deal in exchange for the release of Israeli hostages in Hamas hands. Talks on ending Israel-Lebanon border fighting to begin in Ramadan. And in tennis, Romania's former world number one Simona Halep wins doping appeal. Court of Arbitration reduces 4 years doping ban to 9 months. All right, on to the details now. Indian President Draupadi Murmu to confer Sangeet Natak Academy Award for the year 2022 and 23 to 94 eminent artists in New Delhi on Wednesday. The awards are given in the fields of music, dance, drama, folk and tribal arts, puppetry and allied theatre art forms. These honours not only symbolize the highest standard of excellence and achievement, but also recognize sustained individual work and contribution. And India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi is in West Bengal. PM Modi inaugurated and laid the foundation stones for various connectivity projects in West Bengal's Kolkata with a total value of 15,400 crore rupees. Prime Minister Modi also inaugurated India's first under-river metro tunnel in Kolkata. Later in the day, he will also unveil, dedicate and lay the foundation stone for multiple development initiatives worth approximately 12,800 crore rupees in Bihar's Bethiya. The Prime Minister today will lay the foundation stone for multiple development initiatives worth approximately 12,800 crore rupees in Bihar, in Bethiya today, later in the day. And India's External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar is in South Korea on the first leg of his 4-day visit to South Korea and Japan. The 10th India-Korea Joint Commission meeting is being held in Seoul today. At the meeting, which is co-chaired by External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar and his Korean counterpart Cho Tae-yul, Dr. Jaishankar pitched for expanding cooperation in areas of critical and emerging technologies, semiconductors, green hydrogen, human resource mobility, nuclear cooperation, supply chain resilience. He also called for deepening cooperation in the Indo-Pacific.
During our Prime Minister's visit in 2015, our relations were elevated to a special strategic partnership. It is important that we live up to that. We have grown from strength to strength in the years that have passed. We have become truly important partners for each other. And our bilateral exchanges, trade, investments, defense and S&T cooperation have all seen a steady growth. While keeping up the momentum in the traditional areas of cooperation, we would be very much interested now in expanding it to new areas such as critical and emerging technologies, semiconductors, green hydrogen, human resource mobility, nuclear cooperation, supply chain resilience, etc., to make our ties more contemporary. Excellency, we have also noted the growing convergence of our views in the international fora. Your focus on the Indo-Pacific region is a good case to point, and we both have stakes in its stability, security, and prosperity.
India's External Affairs Minister, Dr. S. Jaishankar, discussed expanded bilateral ties, cooperation in the field of defense, science and technology, business and trade, people-to-people exchange and cultural cooperation, along with advancing trilateral cooperation with Foreign Minister Choe Tae-yul. Both the ministers also exchanged views on the development in the Indo-Pacific, challenges in the regional and global issues of mutual interest. Dr. Jaishankar also met Gimhae City Mayor Hong Tae-yong. Both the leaders discussed cultural and educational cooperation. The Gimhae Ayodhya Connect is a testament to shared cultural heritage and long-standing people-to-people relations. And after concluding his visit to South Korea, Dr. S. Jaishankar will travel to Japan from 6th to the 8th of March for the 16th Indo-Japanese Foreign Minister Strategic Dialogue. DD India's Chris Gilbert reports for more from Tokyo.
This evening, Japan time, so late afternoon India time, is going to be the beginning or the launch of the first ever Raisina Roundtable, and this is a talk or a meeting to promote, I guess, back channels or what is called Track 2 dialogue between the two countries. It will be attended by the minister, but also by think tanks, lobbyists, and academics here in Japan, and it's going to be largely focused on the Quad partnership that these two countries share with Australia and the US, but also other geoeconomic and geopolitical issues as well. That is going to be continuing into Thursday. There also to look forward to is the 10th dialogue between Minister Jaishankar and his counterpart here in Tokyo, Yoko Kamikawa. Again, it's a very similar theme to South Korea, with India looking, first of all, complementing both countries on the platform that they have laid through investment and through defense cooperation, joint military exercises, multilateral military exercises, and now looking for new avenues to expand upon that foundation. And that is what Dr. S. Jaishankar has referred to, expanding on the foundational platform that these countries have built already in terms of economic cooperation, military cooperation, response to climate change. As they say, it's going to be the full gamut of issues that these two parties are going to discuss here in Tokyo.
While marking a pivotal moment in India's defence modernisation journey, Indian Navy to commission the newly inducted MH-60R Seahawk multi-role helicopter on the 6th of March at INS Garuda, Kochi. The Indian Navy is set to witness a significant surge in its maritime prowess with the induction of the Seahawks. The helicopter has been rigorously tested in the Indian reference atmosphere conditions and is fully integrated into the fleet. The MH-60R helicopter would enhance India's blue water capabilities, extending the operational reach of the Navy and supporting sustained naval operations across spectrums and over vast maritime domains. Meanwhile, the Indian Navy swiftly responded to a drone strike on a Liberian-flagged commercial vessel in the Gulf of Aden on Tuesday. Indian Navy ship Kolkata promptly responded and rescued the Liberian vessel. INS Kolkata was deployed in the region for maritime security operations. This incident came amid concerns over the safety of commercial vessels in the Red Sea due to attacks by Houthis. Over the past few weeks, the Indian Navy has provided assistance to several merchant vessels in the Western Indian Ocean following such attacks. Well, the cargo seized in January this year from a Pakistan-bound ship can be used for military purposes, as per a DRDO report. On January 23rd, India's security agencies had seized a Karachi-bound ship from China over a suspected consignment for Pakistan's nuclear weapons program at Navi Mumbai's Nhava Sheva port. Now, the DRDA has also submitted a report to authorities over the matter. According to the report by DRDO experts, the seized large-size computer numerical control machines are dual-use equipment and can be used for military applications. And in a marvelous story of courage, a woman who was declared brain dead donated her organs and her hands found their way to a painter in Delhi who was from the economically weaker sections of society. This person had lost both his hands in a train accident. The doctors from Delhi's Sir Gangaram Hospital have successfully performed the bilateral hand transplantation. After a successful hand transplant, the patient is discharged from the hospital. And now let's take a look at other stories making news today. The Indian Meteorological Department has forecasted a fresh spell of rainfall and snowfall over the western Himalayan region till Thursday and dry weather over most parts of the country during the next 5 days. The Met Department has also said hot and humid weather is likely to prevail over South India's Tamil Nadu and Kerala during the next 2 days. A team of Election Commission of India officials led by Deputy Election Commissioner Hirdesh Kumar held a series of meetings to review the poll preparedness ahead of the general elections in India. The ECI team met with the Chief Secretary to the Government of Assam and representatives of various central enforcement agencies in a series of meetings held at Janata Bhavan in Dispur of India's Assam. Mahashivratri celebrations begin at Isha Yoga Centre in Indian state of Tamil Nadu. After the Mahashivratri Tamil TAMU, a 9-day cultural celebration will also be held in the region. It showcases the depth and diversity of Tamil culture. It is an attempt to not only preserve but to revive the historic art forms, traditions and culture of Tamil Nadu. And still to come in this edition of DD India Live. As the conflict rages, Russia reports it repulses Ukrainian offensives. Ukraine says it hits Russian radars. Tensions escalates between China and the Philippines. US supports Philippines following China's proactive actions in South China Sea. And in UEFA Champions League, Bayern Munich marches into quarter-finals.
India that invents. India that innovates. India that excites. India that invites. Land of possibility. Teeming with opportunities. Watch India Ideas each Thursday 8 p.m. only on DD India.
Welcome to Jaipur.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India Live. I'm Lipakshi Khurana, and moving on, US President Joe Biden and former President Donald Trump have cemented their positions as the leading contenders to become the presidential nominee for their respective parties in November's US election. They both won nearly all the primaries across 16 states and one territory on so-called Super Tuesday, the biggest voting day of the nominating contest. DD India correspondent Kate Fisher reports for more from Washington, D.C.
Well, Super Tuesday is often seen as the pivotal day in the presidential primary season, but this year it felt more like predictable Tuesday as Joe Biden and Donald Trump continued their dominance of the Democratic and Republican races, respectively, depriving the elections of the usual suspense. Both men overwhelmingly won their primary contests, continuing their inexorable march towards their party's nominations, and so a rematch for the White House come November. Describing his victory, Donald Trump said it was an amazing day and that there'd never been anything so conclusive. But during his remarks, he didn't mention his remaining rival in the Republican race, former US Ambassador to the United Nations, Nikki Haley. And the results will be a major disappointment for her, though she did secure the state of Vermont, depriving Trump from a clean sweep. She's always insisted that she would stay in the race until at least Super Tuesday, and it does seem increasingly unlikely that she can continue her campaign for much longer. But she did score victories across urban areas with high numbers of young and college-educated voters, and analysts say that could suggest a potential weakness for Donald Trump. So both his and Joe Biden's campaign teams will be looking at how they can attract those voters. Many of them are moderate Republicans or independents ahead of November's general election. In a statement, Joe Biden hailed his victories, saying, quote, "Millions of Americans had made their voices heard," and warning that Donald Trump is determined to destroy our democracy. If Donald Trump continues his winning streak, he could be declared the Republican Party's official presidential nominee as soon as March the 12th. In Washington, Kate Fisher reporting for DD India.
And as delegations held a third day of talks with no sign of a breakthrough in ceasefire between Hamas and mediators in Cairo on Tuesday, US President Joe Biden said it was in the hands of Hamas now whether to accept a deal for a ceasefire in the Gaza Strip in exchange for the release of Israeli hostages. Negotiators in Cairo trying to secure a 40-day ceasefire, US National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan and Qatari Prime Minister Sheikh Mohammed bin Abdul Rahman Al Thani discussed a potential ceasefire in exchange for the release of hostages held in Gaza on Tuesday. Sullivan and Al Thani stressed that the deal will focus on release of sick, wounded, elderly and women hostages and agree to stay in regular contact.
It's in the hands of Hamas right now. The Israelis have been cooperating. There's an offer out there that's rational. We don't know what. We'll know in a couple of days if it's going to happen. But we need the ceasefire. Well, there's got to be a ceasefire because Ramadan, if we get into a circumstance where this continues through Ramadan, Israel and Jerusalem, then it could be very, very dangerous. So we're trying hard for that ceasefire.
The United States military released a video showing humanitarian aid airdrop into Gaza. The aid included 60 bundles of food supplies. The United States said that the operation was carried out in collaboration with Jordan. This comes as Israeli War Cabinet member Benny Gantz visited top U.S. officials in Washington. Gantz met with Vice President Kamala Harris, Secretary of State Antony Blinken, and U.S. Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer. In a meeting with Blinken, Gantz discussed a delivery of aid and efforts to reach a ceasefire in Gaza between Israel and Hamas. An Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said Israel will allow a similar number of worshippers into Jerusalem's Al-Aqsa Mosque compound in the first week of Ramadan as in previous years on Tuesday.
Israel's policy has always been and always will be to safeguard freedom of worship for all faiths. This is what we have also done during Ramadan, and this is what we will do now. We will do everything to safeguard freedom of worship on the Temple Mount, while appropriately taking into account security and safety needs, and will enable the Muslim public to mark the holiday.
Meanwhile, Lebanon's caretaker Prime Minister Najib Mikati said indirect talks between Lebanon and Israel will begin during the holy month of Ramadan, which starts next week.
The intel says there will be ceasefire in Gaza before Ramadan. On our matters, there will be negotiations during the month of Ramadan. There will be contact with Hochstein within the next 48 hours, either from President Berry or myself, to see where we are currently standing on this issue.
Well, the National Electoral Commission of Venezuela announced that the presidential elections will be held on the 28th of July. Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro celebrated the announcement of the date and expressed his enthusiasm for the presidential elections, but did not confirm whether he would seek a third term. Maduro's re-election to a 6-year term during the last presidential vote in 2018 has been criticized by the opposition, the United States and others as fraudulent. Meanwhile, the head of the National Electoral Council said that uncertainty remains over who will be the opposition coalition's candidate, with President Nicolas Maduro expected to seek another term. And in Peru, Prime Minister Alberto resigned on Tuesday following an audio recording claiming an official manipulated government contracts. Otarolo said the recording was made in 2021 and was manipulated and edited as part of a conspiracy by his political opponents. Earlier, he denied committing any crimes after the recording was made public. As per the Peruvian law, other 18 cabinet members must now also resign along with Otarolo's departure. President Dina Boluarte has the choice to reinstate each cabinet member or swap them out for a new minister. And now, update on Russia-Ukraine conflict. Russia's defense ministry said that the Russian troops had beaten off Ukrainian offensives from multiple directions, including Avdiivka on Tuesday. The ministry added Russian troops destroyed tanks, missile launch systems, drone control points, and many other U.S.-made weapons, along with the MiG-29 fighter jet. While the Ukrainian armed forces reported attacks on various Russian concentration areas of personnel and equipment, along with 76 combat engagements in the past 24 hours. It added Ukrainian forces launched attacks on multiple Russian personnel and military equipment concentration areas, ammunition depots, anti-aircraft missiles, and radars. And Haiti's Prime Minister Ariel Henry landed in Puerto Rico on Tuesday amid escalating gang violence that had threatened to topple his government and left thousands homeless. Puerto Rico's governor's office confirmed Henry had landed in capital San Juan. It was unclear why Henry did not fly directly to Haiti, though heavy gunfire was heard near the capital's international airport on Monday. Haiti's already fragile security situation worsened over the weekend while Henry was in Kenya to tie up a deal for the deployment of foreign troops to restore order. And Swedish and Finnish troops took part in a Nordic response, a NATO drill in northern Finland on Tuesday, with more than 20,000 soldiers from over a dozen nations took part in 10 days drill exercise. Sweden, which is poised to join NATO, possibly within days after gaining the final outstanding ratification last week. The purpose of the exercise is to strengthen the defense in the high north and reinforce troops in order to be capable of carrying out a defensive joint operation in Arctic conditions. About 90,000 troops are due to join the wider NATO exercises running through May. And Swedish Defence Minister welcomed Hungary's NATO ratification and said it was a very positive development that Hungarian President had signed the bill that approved Sweden's accession to the NATO military alliance on Tuesday.
It is very positive, and hopefully we will now become members, and it will not be a matter of weeks but hopefully a matter of days. It will be good for Sweden and it will be good for NATO. It will be good for stability in the entire Euro-Atlantic area that Sweden can become a full-fledged member of NATO.
And during a visit to Prague, French President Emmanuel Macron alongside Czech Prime Minister Peter Fiala signed an action plan for France's strategic partnership with the Czech Republic on Tuesday. Earlier, Macron stressed his support to finance the rapid purchase of hundreds of thousands of ammunition rounds from third countries to dispatch to Ukraine, announced by the Czech Republic last month. The plan was backed by Canada and Denmark and other countries also. United States stands by the Philippines following provocative actions by China in the South China Sea, the U.S. State Department said on Tuesday. State Department spokesperson Matthew Miller said the United States stands with Philippine allies in the face of dangerous and unlawful actions after Manila's South China Sea Task Force said Philippine vessels were harassed and blocked by Chinese maritime militia and Coast Guard ships on Tuesday. And now let's take a look at other stories making news around the world. At least 7 people lost their life after a bus fell in the Trishuli River in Nepal. A total of 35 passengers were rescued alive from the bus on Wednesday. The bus was en route to Kathmandu from Kapilavastu district. The cause of the accident is under investigation. After months of promoting their movies on red carpet, Hollywood stars gears up for the biggest night of movie industry, the Oscars, followed by a lavish dinner at the Ray Dolby Ballroom. The 2024 Governor's Ball prepares for the after-party with menu designed by world-renowned chefs and crew. The Oscars takes place in Los Angeles this Sunday. And on to some sports update now. Former Wimbledon and French Open champion Simona Halep on Tuesday won doping appeal after the top court for global sport, the Court of Arbitration for Sport, cut short her 4-year doping ban to 9 months, a ruling that represents a major victory for the Romanian former world number 1. Halep has been provisionally suspended since October 2022 after testing positive for roxadustat, a banned drug that stimulates the production of red blood cells, at the US Open that year. An independent tribunal accepted Halep's argument that she had taken contaminated supplements, but said the volume she ingested could not have resulted in the concentration of roxadustat found in a positive sample. And in soccer, German club Bayern Munich on Tuesday marched into the quarter-finals of the UEFA Champions League after top scorer Harry Kane stuck once in either half to steer the Germans to a 3-0 win over Lazio with a 3-1 aggregate victory, reigniting title hopes among their fans. Kane headed in for the lead in the 38th minute to cancel out the Lazio's first leg 1-0 advantage and then tapped in the third goal on the rebound in the 66th after Thomas Müller's first-half stoppage time effort had made it 2-0. The win provides instant relief for coach Thomas Tuchel and his team that had won just one of the last 5 matches in all competitions prior to Tuesday and are currently 10 points off the top in Bundesliga. All right, that's all for this edition of DD India Live, but let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. You can connect with us on Facebook, X, formerly known as Twitter and Instagram. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Lipakshi Khurana from all of us here in Delhi. Thanks for watching DD India Live.